It's episode 35 of Beyond the Blast Doors. Thank you so much for checking out this latest episode, and it is action-packed. David Amalotti, David Gilbert, and I'm not trying to oversell this thing, but we have a lot going on. We have got like the first female directing a Star Wars movie. We're giving away a free ton of comic books. It almost weighs as much as a ton, the amount of comic books we're giving away. And then also we have a really cool new evolved version of Staying on Target that we'll talk about a little more later on in the show. But David, I want to make a quick announcement first, because before we go any further, we want you to know that we're going to be part of something really cool this Monday night. This coming Monday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, which is 8 p.m. Central, which is, I think, 9 p.m. Eastern. Lords of the Long Box YouTube channel is going to be having what they call the Fanboy Fight Club. It's this thing that started within the last couple of weeks, and it's really cool. They'll take like superheroes, and I think they did like I'm trying to think of an example. They did one like with Green Arrow, and then I think Green Arrow, and then what's the Marvel equivalent? I'm spacing here.
Oh, Hawkeye?
Hawkeye, yeah.
And
it's
put
like,
them against each other?
Put them against each other.
So like DC versus Marvel, kind of?
Yeah.
Ooh.
It's really cool what they do. And so they're, Tim's over there and Darkside Jedi, a lot of great people over there. Well, now they're doing Star Wars versus Star Trek, and so I get to take on Mark of the New York Warriors, I believe, Monday night. We're going to talk up, we're going to go head to head about which one's better, Star Wars or Star Trek. And I'm feeling really confident already. I had someone challenge me on Facebook already, and I just showed them the box office numbers alone. Star Wars is a far more successful franchise. So if you want to hear me battle, I think the battle it's going to take less than an hour, but it starts at 6 p.m. Pacific, like I said, 8 p.m. Central this Monday night, and you can find us by just typing in Lords of the Long Box on YouTube. So looking forward to that. We also have some more exciting news. We have the first winner of our weekly giveaway for our weekly giveaway comic book contest.
Sponsored by that Fantasy Shop in Maplewood.
When you go to shout out the sponsor, you should always say their name correctly. So the Maplewood Fantasy Shop in Maplewood, Missouri, they are good people over there, and every week we're giving away comics. It could be variants, it could be the week of comics, and I want to shout out, congratulations, everybody. Lindsay's Geeked Out Knickknacks has won our first weekly giveaway. Last week, the hashtag was Never Tell Me the Odds. We had more than 50 people comment, and that includes everyone who commented on the episode before Disney took it down because of copyright issues. We have filed a dispute. We don't think we violated any copyright issues, but we're still waiting on Disney's response. But between the original upload, the re-upload of the episode, we did a single shot of Pages, Pixels, Pieces, which I think we're going to keep doing as just like a mini show on the channel.
I kind of like how we did that.
Yeah, I think it works. So we're going to do that. But Lindsay's Geeked Out Knickknacks, you have won last week's. It's Star Wars number 36. It's the Galactic Icon variant with the young Han Solo on there. So congratulations to you. We will be reaching out to you after this episode to get your mailing address, and then we will be sending that comic to you, I believe, in Mylar with a fullback, E. Gerber grade. So only the best of the best for our viewers. So thank you so much for commenting down below. All you have to do is subscribe to our channel, comment down below with the hashtag that we give you, and then, boom, you're entered into that contest. This week, we're giving away 5 comics. I'll go ahead and just shout out what we're giving away. We're giving away Thrawn number 3, Darth Vader number 14, our favorite line right now, Poe Dameron 26 that we're going to talk about later in the show, Star Wars Adventures Annual, and number 9. Those are 2 comics that are more geared towards the kids, but,
they're fun.
They're still fun.
They're a lighthearted read.
So you're getting $20 worth, at least, worth of comics. I actually think it's closer to the $30 because some of those issues are $3 and more. So we'll give you the keyword later in the show, so be sure you stick around for Pages, Pixels, Pieces. We'll break down books in the past week, and we'll give you a tease of what's coming up in the near future. We'll give you that keyword. You'll be sure to subscribe and comment down below. Before we get on to Real Talk, I did want to ask you if you saw the supercuts. A fan made that supercut of the Han Solo trailer.
With like 4 minutes of nonstop solo action.
Right. So this fan just basically took every piece of video that's come out so far and made one Alpha Omega trailer. I think it's amazing.
They did a great job with it. Like they took the music and they did the music well. It wasn't like chopped together. And it almost seemed like they tried to take the pieces and try to put them in what we presume to be the chronological order. So it almost felt like a little tiny, a synopsis.
I always want to know how they separate the audio? Like, how do they separate the tracking? Like, how do they get the music ripped out from underneath the
I'm sure there's
words
some
and
program
sound?
out there that does it.
I'm sure there is, but I thought it was really well done because I was like, man, I don't know how they're gonna blend the music because almost every trailer we gotten between the TV spots, the teaser trailer, and the full trailer,
It's been
different
something
music.
different.
Yeah, so really excited to see the movie, and I think the supercut really excites me even more. We'll copy the link to it down in the description below for you to check out. But it is really spectacular, and yeah, just kind of like how you mentioned, it kind of sets forth a hypothesis of the order of events that we'll see in Solo. We expect that we'll be introduced to Solo. He's going to be, with the Empire. He's going to drop out. He's going to meet Chewie. He's going to go on this crazy adventure. Someone's going to die. We'll find out together.
This was the first big ball of Solo that's really got me excited for this movie.
Yeah, you were talking about that before we started.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because it didn't suck.
Because it's like
I mean, there's so many. We've had, just go back and watch our old episodes. There's so many things that I don't like about the concept of this movie or the history that they're giving Han Solo. But the way they put it all together, it gives me hope, a new hope, that this movie is not going to suck.
New hope.
Was that bad? That was just.
I think it's interesting because I think a great teaser, a great trailer shows you exciting things that are going to be happening in the movie, but it doesn't give away what will happen, but it does give you a sense of the plot. I feel like the supercut kind of I have a feeling like this is the plot of the movie, but it's fine because it was fun. Just really nice to have all that video all in one place. And keep in mind, all the video that we have seen, just like Rogue One, The Last Jedi, Force Awakens, we've probably only seen like 3 to 5% of all the shots in the movie. So really looking forward to see that full movie in theaters May 25th. And let's go ahead and jump into Real Talk because Real Talk, while we are talking about a lot of Solo news, we're also going to be talking a little bit about Episode 9. And of course, if this is the first time you're joining us for Beyond the Blast Doors Real Talk, the segment where if it's Star Wars on the screen, we talk about it in this segment. And Star Wars Episode 9 will officially have the franchise's first female second unit director. So it was recently announced via Lucasfilm Disney that Victoria Mahoney will be serving as the second unit director on Episode 9. Actually, Ava DuVernay, I think, gets credit for actually leaking this. I think she spilled it on her Twitter account, saying that she'd be working with Abrams on Episode 9. I think it's great news, and I think this is something that we've been talking about for several months, is where is the diversity in the creation of Star Wars content. And, it's the belief of us on this show that the only thing that should matter about someone making a Star Wars movie, or really a movie in general, is, are you the best director for the job? I think, nothing else should matter. So I'm really excited to see that Victoria is getting her opportunity. Her background is not in film. It's predominantly in TV. In fact, there's only one series that she's worked on where she's directed more than 2 episodes, and that would be a show called Exhale. It's back from like 2013. It's about African American culture, specifically like women that spread across a couple different generations, and so how they kind of work together. But
what kind of excites me about her, David, is that she's done some directing, she's done some acting. Man, we're not hitting the words today. She's done some acting, she's done some directing, so she's been all over the place in the film industry,
producing as well,
for close to 20 years. Everything from Seinfeld to Legally Blonde. So she was
the reporter in Legally Blonde. I'm a fan of that movie. I'll admit it. It's good. It's funny.
She's got a lot she can draw from.
Yes.
I mean, that's the good thing to it. I'm really excited. As a second unit director, I had to look that up because I had no idea what that meant.
Yeah, break that down for us.
And so second unit director, they're not necessarily the director that's working with the main cast. They're the ones who are doing a lot of the smaller shots. So when we see those sweeping visuals going into Act 2, that's what she's going to be doing. So the transition shots, some of the stunts that they're going to do without the main cast in it, the cutaways, I think, are what they call them. That's primarily what she's going to be doing. So everything that doesn't need the main director's primary focus.
17 total directing credits. I think it's 14 acting credits based
a dozen
according to IMDb. So really excited to see what she does. And, like I said, nothing else should matter. If you're the best person for that job, you should have that job, and they clearly think that she's the best person for this job. I think it's funny that Ava DuVernay was the one that spilled beans, though, because everyone thought she was going to be directing a Star Wars movie at some point, and she says, absolutely not. I have no interest. She's doing the Marvel movie. She's doing the...
Which one?
Oh, my gosh. Why am I spacing on this? Jack Kirby's not New Mutants.
Let me look it up.
You're gonna have to pull it up. I'm sorry, but she's doing a Marvel movie, and it was a real big curveball because it's a DC movie. I'm sorry. She's doing a comic book movie, and it was such a surprise because everyone thought that she was in talks
As director?
with Star Wars. Yeah, Ava DuVernay. She's doing a comic book movie.
The New Gods?
New Gods, thank you. Jack Kirby's New Gods.
Never heard of
is
that
the movie.
one. What's that about?
It's kind of like Jack Kirby came over to DC and just was given permission to do whatever he wanted after he came over from Marvel. But this is a Star Wars show, and so we're gonna get back on track with that. But yeah, really excited to see what she does with that, and seeing what she and JJ can create cinematically. Should be a good time. What do you think about the decision to put Victoria in the second unit director's seat? Let us know down in the comments below. Imagining this is going to be an overwhelmingly positive topic. Because again, if you're the best person for the job, you should get the job. Next up in Real Talk is Solo Talk, and this is what we should expect. A lot of Solo news as we're kind of in the home stretch here before we get Han Solo in theaters May 25th. And the rumor is we got 2 new TV spots. Actually, that's not a rumor. That's a fact. We got TV spot Risk, and we got this other one that reveals the voice of Rio Duran, which is the Jon Favreau character. And so,
alien.
The alien. So, David, you've read or you've watched
the video clips.
Yeah, we read the subtitles. We watched both TV spots. What sticks out in your mind?
There's a lot more shots of the inside of the Falcon on this, and it's really cool because it's a lot more clean and polished, which really makes me question Han Solo's care of the ship. If he's just going to let it fall apart over the next, couple years. But I thought that was really cool. There's a little more humor, a little more conversation between Han and Chewie that I think is kind of nice, and I like them being able to develop that relationship. Han says, "What's your name?" and Chewie garbles like he does, and somehow we get Chewbacca out of that. So I'm starting to get excited.
I think there's a good reason to be excited. I love when you mention the interior shots. I love all the shots we're getting of Han cranking the steering mechanism of the Falcon, all the flipping of the switches. That's cool because we've never really seen that perspective of the Falcon. You have the iconic shot in the original trilogy of being in the back seat and you're seeing hyperspace start to
come at you,
for a lack of a better phrase.
I feel like that every time I'm driving in the snow at night and it's just coming towards my windshield.
It's like that funnel. But what I think what's great about this is in Force Awakens and Last Jedi, something that I do like about those 2 movies is they make the Falcon feel more like a character of itself. And this is what we're going to get again here with the Han Solo movie.
And we've talked about that in a couple other episodes too, because when you look at the promotional materials, there's more Millennium Falcon than there is Han Solo.
Yeah, I mean, I think this movie at the core, it's going to show you how does he meet Chewie? How does he get the Falcon? I mean, those are the 2. I think that those are 2 big questions that fans have asked themselves for so many years. I still love that shot where it does when whoever's in the ship at the time does the barrel roll with a Falcon and just cremates a TIE fighter. It's like the best shot in all the footage we've seen so far. So excited for that. I wanted to point out that we have some new shots of Beckett, and we're finally getting some images of Voss, who is like the big baddie. And when the new TV spots dropped, we also got new images from Empire Magazine. And so I have an excerpt here that I'd like to share real quick regarding Voss as a character, because we're starting to see Paul Bettany more and more in these TV spots now. So according to Empire Magazine, Voss is being touted as Solo's main villain, a facially scarred big shot criminal overlord who recruits a crew of reprobates? Reprobates. I talk for a living, you can tell. For a heist. The character was originally portrayed by Michael K. Williams back when Phil Lord and Chris Miller were directing, but is now portrayed by Bettany in Ron Howard's film. So this is interesting because remember, we heard back that Michael K. Williams, there was a scheduling conflict with another film he was working on. And so the time was, at that time, a new character was being created for Paul Bettany. We remember we had the tweet out photo from Ron Howard where it's kind of Paul leaning on Ron, right? Now we come to learn that it's the same character.
Yep.
So that's a pretty big revelation. When we think of Paul Bettany, I don't really think of him as the villain. And we talked about this before too, is he's usually the comedic relief. Very excited to see what he does with this role. Is this the biggest takeaway from the 2 trailers? Is just seeing more of him, seeing the facially scarred individual that he is, and he might be the true big threat in this movie?
I think that could be. I definitely think it's an opportunity to really explore what Bettany's able to do as a villain. And I'm really excited for that.
I think it's interesting that he's going to be the biggest threat when you have the Empire so prominent in this movie. You know what I'm saying? Is it feels like that they would be the biggest threat, but maybe it shows like the layers.
It's a pirate. He's
right.
a pirate.
Well, and it's also, I think it goes in line with the kind of movie that we're getting. We're getting this Western film with this Solo movie, and it's showing the layers of danger in this galaxy far, far away. You know, that overarching, I don't want to call the Empire Big Brother, but that overarching threat, but also the subworld of the smugglers and the gangsters and the underworld. It's a place where Jesse would hang out a lot. It's being the Mandalorian fan that he is. I think that's the biggest thing for those commercials. I do like the fact that we do hear the voice of Rio Durant, which turns out it's just Jon Favreau talking.
Yep.
There is nothing unique about it.
Nothing exciting.
Not a spoiler because it's all over YouTube and all over TV right now.
But
I'm on
okay
ABC
with
all
that.
the time.
I don't need a weird voice for an alien.
No, but I agree. I totally agree. I'm totally fine with more of these characters, these alien species speaking basic. But I also definitely appreciate what they did with Force Awakens, for example, when you get the gang showing up there to track down Han early on the carrier.
You like that scene?
I like the subtitles. I like there being unique languages in the galaxy, and then it's I'm fine with that because it adds to the realism of it, as far as however realistic it could be.
I'm on board with that. But did you really like that scene though?
No, I didn't like the scene, but I like the execution
of. That was kind of like a waste of time there.
Right. I just like the execution of the gang members having a different language that we haven't heard before, and having subtitles. That works. Okay, so what do you think? That's what we care about. We do the show. We want to have a Star Wars conversation. Comment down below. Let us know what you think about the new teasers, the new TV spots, I should say. And what do you think about Rio's voice? Is it kind of a letdown? I didn't have a strong opinion on it, really. Just glad to see Jon Favreau involved in this movie. Of course, he's going to be in charge of that new TV show for the streaming service that's coming out in 2019 for Disney. Next topic we have in Real Talk, Star Wars show. They do a great show over there on the Star Wars YouTube channel. I think you can also track it down on StarWars.com. But they sat down with Lawrence and Jon Kasden, the father and son duo who penned the Solo script. But, I mean, obviously they're known. Lawrence, at least, is known because he penned Empire, Return of the Jedi, and helped salvage or just redo Force Awakens. I still want to know that Michael Arndt script, but nonetheless, they were on there and they were talking, and I really enjoyed hearing about Lawrence's passion for the Han Solo character and how he talked about just when he would see the character on screen, how everything kind of would pause, and it just felt right. He definitely developed this attachment with that character. David, was there anything that really just really grabbed your ear?
There was a whole lot that popped
go
out.
ahead, jump into it.
If you're going to go watch another podcast of some sort, go watch this 10-minute little clip because it's just there's so much great information in there, and I absolutely loved how they were talking about their relationship when writing father-son duo because, a lot of parents and kids don't like to hang out, and these guys worked together and got paid to do it. So there's some neat little back and forth that they have in there, but the things that I absolutely love to hear them talk about were they were not out to create an origin movie.
Yes.
And I really, really was glad to hear that because that's not what I want. I feel like we're getting enough of that anyway, but they really wanted to focus on this being a crime movie just with a character that we know and love. The other thing that they talked about is they didn't want to turn this into a how does Han become Han? They really wanted the character growth to focus on how does Han become so cynical? How does he get to the point where he doesn't like other people and distrusts other people? And so that's really where they're focusing how Han's going to grow as a character. So knowing that right up front makes me look at the movie probably a little different than if I was going in blind, thinking, well, how in the hell are they going to screw up this character?
Right, because at face value, based on what we've seen footage-wise, it's like, oh, here's how he gets his gun, here's how he meets Chewie, here's how he meets Lando, here's how he gets a Falcon, and there definitely seems to be a greater purpose, a greater story that's top on the priority list.
Right. and they go so in depth with their love for Han Solo, like you mentioned. They even get to the point where, like, how does Han become so quick-witted? How does he think so quick? Well, he has to grow up in an urban environment to stay on his toes. So they're giving so much more than just here's a Han Solo story. They're giving us here is Han Solo.
And I think it's important to note this movie is such a small little moment about 10 years before A New Hope. I mean, there's so many more adventures out there. But what I like to hear is the fact that, like, what you said with the urban exposure and all the planets that we know that he's going to be visiting in this movie. You know, in A New Hope, you get the impression that Han Solo has kind of been everywhere you can be in the galaxy. He's seen it all. That's why he doesn't believe in these hokey religions, because all he does need is a good blaster at his side. And I think we've even seen some moments in the teasers and in the TV spots of how a good blaster at his side has helped him out.
Comes in handy.
I'm with you. That dynamic between father and son, and I love the bit where it's just like, most of it was really great, but sometimes we really butted heads. And then it was good to see that shot with Kathleen Kennedy in between them to keep them separated, because that's the role she played in there.
Who do you think won the majority of the arguments? Lawrence as the dad who's been writing this character for 40 years, or the son, John, who's been, grew up with this character and has seen all of that development and lived with that character? Who do you think won?
I don't know if it was a thing about winning. I think what had to happen was an appreciation for perspective, because you have the guy who penned him, and then the other person that just completely just witnessed what was on screen. What you just said. I think it was a more collaborative effort, and I would think that those conversations are more so in the writing process before they get to production. The sense that I got from the interview was that it was an extremely conversational environment on set, with those two and Ron Howard kind of hashing things out. Maybe if a scene wasn't going right, they're kind of talking through it. Well, what if this could happen? I like that.
Is that typical of a movie where the writer is on set with the director there to kind of talk through things?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the screenwriter would be there, because there's a lot of times on set where something might not be working, and so they're going to change it. They're going to change it right there, and sometimes that's improv. I mean, the infamous moment in Star Wars lore is, they shot like the Han Solo scene where he drops in the carbonite chamber. They shot that like 30-something times, and it just never worked. And then Irvin Kershner just said, "You know what, Harrison, you just trust your instinct. Roll cameras," and then he just, I know. I mean, that's how that happened.
Yeah, I love you. I know.
Right.
Scene. Yep. Okay.
So I think, but yes, in most cases, I think that there is someone there that is still present, that they can kind of work on the rewrites, and if something's not working, they can tweak that. I think especially in this scenario where they go in saying they're going to do reshoots, they end up reshooting the entire movie. So I think it was pretty important to have the Kasdans there. But I thought it was a really great interview, and like David said, check them out. I mean, I like Star Wars show is pretty honest about what they do. They talk about Star Wars news that has already happened, which, a galaxy long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. But
last takeaway I got from this, David.
Oh yeah, sure, go ahead.
So the final thing that I want to talk about is they actually wrote out Chewie's lines. That way, Alden could be able to respond appropriately based upon what Chewie was actually saying. So I doubt we're ever going to see it, but I would love for somebody to release the script where it has those lines so we can see what the garbled conversation that Chewie says actually means.
The translation from Wookiee. That'd be cool. All right, yeah, I'm down for that. No, I think that is great, and especially because we've talked about so much about how Alden Ehrenreich is needed to help with acting and acting coach, talking with Harrison Ford. I just think that, I don't know, that to me that's common sense. I mean, it's like on set with Darth Vader, you still have that guy inside the armor saying the lines when there are lines. David Prowse was doing the lines in the original film, and it's hysterical because his thick accent. You can hear it if you go on YouTube. The clips are out there. That's going to do it for Real Talk. Real Talk, the segment where if Star Wars is on the screen, we're talking about it there. Next segment is Pages, Pixels, Pieces, and we want you to know that this segment is brought to you by the Fantasy Shop in Maplewood, Missouri. We're proud to have our local comic shop as our official sponsor. Comics, collectibles, toys, Magic the Gathering, and board games. The Fantasy Shop in St. Louis, proudly serving St. Louis since 1981. Again, want to thank them so much for last week's giveaway, that Star Wars number 36 Galactic Icon variant cover with the Han Solo with Alden Ehrenreich's likeness. Gave that away to Lindsay's Geeked Out Knickknacks, so really excited for her to be able to enjoy that comic. A slower week in Star Wars comic books this
Well,
week.
we had a big one last week, so they need to give us a little bit of a break to catch up.
Had to get a break. Of course, you have Last Shot out right now. You have a lot of the Han Solo books out right now, trying to tear through those so that way we can talk about those on the show. So we'll try and have something on that next week. So far, my impression on Last Shot, for example, it's the Han... it's the one with the Han Lando covers.
Yep.
My impression there so far.
Did you pick that one up?
Yeah.
Oh.
So right now, my impression on that one is it's there's some like political stuff going on in that book, so it's kind of interesting. It takes a look at the relationship and where they are in certain points of life.
Boring political, or like I want to learn more political.
I think you want to learn more because it kind of like jumps around on the timeline.
Okay.
But if you haven't read it already, no worries. We're probably on the same spot. I'm only like 2 chapters in, so I'm very early on. We'll try and talk about it next week. But as far as comics go, Poe Dameron number 26 dropped, and this is really exciting because this comic, this is a jump forward. So issue number 25 stopped that pre-Force Awakens era of the Black Squadron and Poe Dameron with the Resistance, and now we have jumped to basically moments after The Last Jedi, where we're sitting on the Millennium Falcon, Rey, Finn, and Poe are sitting around the table, and Rey is playing around with the
BB-8.
broken lightsaber and BB-8.
Yep.
And so I did not expect that to be the first panel, but yeah, we're right
But
there.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, after the Battle of the Crate. You go through that, and it's kind of a flashback. It takes you back to the beginning of Force Awakens. I think that's the easiest way to kind of summarize what happens in this comic. David, you've read the comic. What are your takeaways? Because I just feel like we're seeing a different Poe Dameron in the comics than what we get in the movies.
So in the movies, I am not a big fan of him whatsoever.
Okay.
I think he's cocky. I think he's a liability. And I've said over and over that if I were in the Resistance, I would not have him flying anything because he has a tendency to break his ships, to crash them. And this comic kind of calls him out on that. Rey says, "You're the best pilot in the galaxy and you crash all the time." And Poe says, "Well, those are extenuating circumstances." And Rey follows that with a zinger saying, "I'm just saying, I don't think I've ever crashed anything I've been flying."
Just another opportunity to make Rey perfect. It's fine. It's all good. I love the character. That was a little too on the nose for me.
Oh, I love it. I mean, it's calling him out, and I think that's a good thing because Poe is somebody who routinely breaks stuff.
I just like the fact that here's my thing. When I watch The Force Awakens, for example, when I think of Poe Dameron flying in a ship, I think of the moment where he's there above Maz's castle that's falling apart there on Takadana, and he's blowing up like 6-7 starfighters in the sky. I don't really think about the ships that he's lost because if you think about it, the X-wing he loses there on Jakku isn't his fault. He's trying to get away. He was trying to save Lor San Tekka. The troopers blew up his X-wing. I mean, you can't fault him for that.
I'm going to fault him for that.
And what
he signed out the company X-wing. It's on his protection.
Okay, so then how does he lose the orange and black X-wing? Kylo Ren blows that up in the hangar. That's not his fault. Are you going to say he parked in the wrong bay?
Sure, we'll say that.
That was clearly the only bay. You can't be, dude. I can't blame a guy for where he parked his car. So essentially what happens is they're asking, the whole question of this comic issue is, Poe, how did you survive and survive the crash onto Jakku in Force Awakens, and how did you get off the planet back to Dakar? And so we learned that, and we learned that he hit the ejection button for Finn's seat. We learned that he couldn't eject from his TIE fighter because his jacket had got caught in the mechanism that allows the seat to release, which... Okay, that works out because that explains why the jacket was left in the TIE fighter.
Yep.
But I don't understand how an X-wing, if it's hurtling towards the surface of a planet,
TIE fighter,
I'm sorry, Poe apparently just goes right through the windshield, rolls down the sand dunes, and he's out for a little bit, but then he gets up and goes. It just
starts walking.
To me, the physics of Star Wars continue to baffle me, but it's fine because it's a galaxy long time ago and a galaxy far, far away. Okay. But it's interesting. He gets picked up by a scavenger. He gets hauled off and basically gets on a ship and
takes back off.
Goes back to Dakar. Anything in particular
it's not a really exciting story.
Yeah,
it's more of a. And I'm glad to know how they filled in the gaps, but it's I don't know. It's comic worthy, but it's not film worthy. And it's not worth my time.
I think that's good to point out because I think if you're really big into the canon and absorbing that knowledge, you'll appreciate this issue. But it's nothing that we would have needed to see in the movie. I mean, this is not a scene that should have been in the movie.
No. Oh, how'd you escape? Oh, well, I tried to eject, so I ended up not ejecting. I went through the windshield, and I walked until I found a scavenger, and then I bummed a couple rides, and here I am. I mean, that's...
Sounds like a bad date.
Yeah, that's like an excuse you give when you're trying to, why you're late to something.
There were a few things that I thought were. I'm trying to think if there was any big reveals. I think the biggest is the fact that why the jacket was still in the TIE fighter, walking away. But there was nothing really earth-shattering in this issue. Kind of surprised that when they teased that 26 is going to take you into the time of The Last Jedi, it's actually a throwback to basically put you almost right where the first 25 issues kind of left you at in that Force Awakens era. So we'll see what issue number 27 brings on. But I will tell you this: if you're not following the Poe Dameron series right now, what a great opportunity for you to jump on, because it definitely is a fresh start with the series.
And Charles Soule is writing it.
Yep.
He's the guy who's doing our Darth Vader comic that we love so much, and the artwork has been really, really good. The faces don't make me want to punch something.
It's not Salvador LaRocca, so that probably explains why.
Yep.
I do think that Rey has really big lips. I did make that note.
Really big lips?
Really big lips. But that's okay. If you've read Poe Dameron, let us know what you think down in the comments below. We'd love to get your take. What's your favorite comic that you're reading right now? I just like to ask you that every week, because it could change every week. I think David and I still always on Darth Vader. It's just a great run. And oh my gosh, some of the covers came out for I think it was issue number 20. Oh my goodness!
For Vader?
Oh yeah,
we're only at like 14.
I know, but they always like tease the cover art, several months in advance. I mean, we're averaging like two. We're averaging like 2 issues a month. I'll let you look.
20?
I think so.
10. I see up to 16 on this website.
You're on the wrong website. You're just going to have to do a Google search.
Although these do look pretty cool.
While he's enjoying the Vader covers, I want to make sure that you know that now is the time that you need to be looking and listening to the episode, because we are going to give you this week's giveaway. And again, this is sponsored by our good friends at the Fantasy Shop in Maplewood, Missouri. So proud to have them as our sponsor. And this week we're giving you, in this, it's an incredible bundle: Thrawn number 3, Vader 14, Poe Dameron number 26, Star Wars Adventures the Annual, and number 9. Now, to be a part of this giveaway, all you have to do is be 18 years or older, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and comment down below using the hashtag That's No Moon, because this giveaway is so big. It is so big. It could be mistaken for a planet, but it is no moon. So hashtag That's No Moon. Be sure you put that in the comments down below. Hopefully Disney doesn't take down this episode, so that way we don't have to re-upload and go through all 3 videos. I got to tell you, though, this is pretty cool. So for the first weekly giveaway, last week, David, can you guess how many people entered?
Yes, I can, because you told me earlier.
You could have really allowed more
suspense.
Oh, would you like me to
have to? No. I don't know, David. How many people? Was it 6?
You really annoy me.
Was it 145?
We had 51 people submit entries for the giveaway, which is pretty cool.
Stellar.
Yeah, I mean, we had some people. I think some people would comment 2 or 3 times during the episode, and they would drop in the hashtag for us, and really enjoy always reading those comments. But it was really cool to see how many people really got excited about the contest. So, go ahead.
Her lips are big.
They are big. Ray's lips in Poe Dameron 2016 are luscious. Yes. So again, participate in the contest. Hashtag That's No Moon. Stashed or Blasted is the next segment in our show, and it looks like there are some rumors that Star Wars Celebration, David, in 2019 is going back to Anaheim. Now, we don't swear on the show, so I'll just say no flip. Did anyone think that wasn't going to happen in 2019 with the park opening up, with the streaming service releasing? Why would you not take it all the way? Why would you not take it to Anaheim? It just makes us... We were just in Florida.
See, I would say the opposite. I would take it back to Orlando because there's more space for more people.
I think that's legitimate. And you also know they have that Star Wars themed hotel in the works down there, which is that it's like you're immersed in the Star Wars world. Everyone around is kind of like themed out that way,
like role play.
Yeah,
like all the time.
But these people are paid for it. You're right. I think. I think this is just kind of a common sense thing. I know that StarWarsNewsNet.com did a story on it and want to give them credit for the work that they do. But I mean, I don't know. Were you surprised? It sounds like you really think that it should have gone to Orlando.
I mean, so Star Wars News Net's posted 2 articles on this. One of them was saying that they heard the rumor that it's going back to Anaheim and that they're moving it from the spring into the fall.
Oh, that's right, towards the end of the year.
And so,
Which would put that after? Would that put it after Episode 9? Because isn't Episode 9 in May?
yes, it put it after episode 9.
I don't like that. I think that's a mistake.
So then they published another article that says, okay, we didn't want to take this at 100% face value. We're not just gossip people, which is probably a good thing that they're trying to be reputable, because that's what we all want as people who really love what we do with Star Wars. And then they come up with, here's a whole bunch of reasons why it could be in Anaheim, or here's a whole bunch of reasons why it's not going to be in Anaheim.
Right.
Like, D23 is going to be in Anaheim, so why would they turn around and do another Anaheim thing, 8 months later?
Well, now you remember the last time this happened, they scheduled D23 and Star Wars Celebration like weeks apart. So you had to pick one or the other.
Which doesn't make sense to me. If you're trying to rally your fan base, you'd want to try to make sure that you space those out, in my opinion.
But I'm pretty sure D23 was the same week as San Diego Comic-Con. I could be wrong there, but if I remember correctly,
remember talking about
if
that.
I remember correctly, that was on the same weekend, and Disney was basically like, yeah, you're just gonna have to pick.
One or the other.
Yeah, right. I don't know. The one thing, May 4th obviously gets a lot of attention. It's a Friday this year. 2 years ago, that's when they announced when Star Wars Celebration, when and where that was, the whole ticket sales thing. So, I mean, I expect some kind of Star Wars news on May 4th because that's kind of just become the tradition. But I'm really concerned about waiting to do Celebration after 9 because you used to use this as an opportunity to really excite the fan base about the film. You and I have been talking about going to Celebration because this was an opportunity for us to go celebrate before the end of the Skywalker saga.
Yep.
And to me, I take this as, and maybe I'm being hypersensitive, but it's just another move to prove that Disney's priority is not the Skywalker saga. They want to distance themselves from the Lucasfilm era, or from the Lucas era, and they want to go and they want to get you hyped for, I'm thinking, the Benioff and Weiss movies and the Favreau TV series for the streaming service we mentioned a few minutes ago, and the what's going on with the comics and what's going on with the books. The writers panel is one that I think people always look forward to, seeing where we're going to go in the novels, because really the last year we don't have a whole lot of literature to read other than this wave that we've gotten with Solo. So very interesting to see what plays out. Anything that we missed, do you think?
No, I don't think so. I mean, whether it's spring or fall, I don't think it really matters to me necessarily.
Okay.
I think the best decision is however they can space it out so they can continue the Star Wars hype. Get us really excited every 6 months for something big in the Star Wars universe. And whether it's at Anaheim or Orlando, I mean, I don't have one strong preference over the other.
Fair enough. Blast it or stash it.
We'll blast it. I think it's going to be in Orlando, and I think they're going to keep it in the spring.
I'm going to stash it. I think it's definitely going to be in Anaheim. It's definitely going to be more expensive for fans to go to. But I think your point about more space available for fans to exist and walk around, I think is very valid. I would rather say in Orlando. I think it's going to Anaheim. Next topic here in Stash It or Blast It. Disney will reportedly release Solo in China earlier than expected. And I'll tell you, the trailer, the poster that they have over there is stunning for it. It's the tan background with everyone. I honestly might get that one and put that in the frame. It looks pretty cool. But according to THR, Disney and Lucasfilm's hotly anticipated Solo: A Star Wars Story has locked down its release date in the world's second-largest box office territory. The standalone Star Wars film will descend upon the Middle Kingdom on May 25th, the same day it unfurls across North America. Several sources in Beijing with knowledge of the local distribution plans told THR. So if you go by that quote, everything sounds right. Well, here's the next quote. In China, the Star Wars franchise has mysteriously underperformed relative to the size of the market. Force Awakens earned a healthy $124 million in 2016, and my screen just went blank. So
Rogue One in 2017 slipped to $69 million.
Picks me up.
Despite the casting of 2 Chinese stars. See, I got your back. And The Last Jedi eroded further with just $42 million in the Middle Kingdom. So Force Awakens 124, Rogue One 69, million, and The Last Jedi 42 million. So I could see why Disney's a little worried about this dramatically downward trend. Are they getting tired of Star Wars? Are they, because typically they get the movie a month after we do in the U.S. So has there just been so much bad press about The Last Jedi that people didn't want to spend the money to go see it?
Because it was a colossal flop for The Last Jedi in China.
Yep.
I think it's... My thing is this: it's if you release it ahead of time, I think it's about confidence. It's a confidence booster, and I think sometimes when we see that the date is going to be the same across the world, some people are like, "Oh, well, is it a lack of confidence there, or are we doing this just to avoid spoilers?" Because we've had the same conversation with, I mean, not on the show, but Infinity War,
Avengers, yeah.
I mean that whole debacle.
I mean, to me, I'd get very frustrated if there's all sorts of spoilers out there before a movie takes place. Like, even typically the week or 2 weeks before a Star Wars movie comes out, or an Avengers movie, a Marvel movie comes out, I stop watching the trailers. I get off Facebook. I get off Reddit, because I don't want to see a picture of Han Solo with a lightsaber through him, because that ruined that scene for me when I saw The Force Awakens.
Right.
So I am, as a consumer, I would rather them release it all at once, all across the world, because that limits the potential for spoilers that could ruin the movie for me.
I mean, was it like a month after it came out in the U.S. that it dropped in China last year?
Yeah, that's typically the trend that Disney's been doing with Star Wars, is about a month after.
See, that just seems ridiculous, because you think of, especially just the Asian market overall, you'd want to tap that because there's so many people over there. And
I'd want to play off, what do they call that, like premiere hype or something, where, once the world premiere happens and people get excited, why... and maybe it's a cash flow thing. Maybe they really want to focus on making sure that everything is taken care of from a customer service perspective in the U.S. They make a whole bunch of money. Then they say, okay, we can take our customer service team and let's go focus on China, and we can take care of them, giving those theaters the best quality service, and also make another 150 cool million over there at the same time, as opposed to trying to do it all at once.
I think you're right. Blast or stash it.
I'm going to stash it. I think this is a good idea.
Yeah, I'm going to stash it too. I think it only makes sense. I think let's reverse that trend, and let's make sure our neighbors to, well, we're kind of in the Midwest, so they could be to our west or the east. They're that way. We want to make sure that they watch the movie. We want them to enjoy it. That's going to do it for Stash or Blast It. Always really fun to go through that, kind of rifle through those, and we've talked about it too with that segment. We can make that faster, probably get more topics in there, kind of rifle through them. But when it's just the two of us on this week's episode, we can take our time with it. Fan Comlink is the segment that I enjoy the most, because we get to tap it, answer questions that you ask us, and this week we got a really great one from John Boffman. John Boffman is our Patreon supporter. He is an avid listener of our show. And he writes in today, he says, with the connection that Snoke created between Kylo Ren and Rey, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, in parentheses, I've been wondering if Palpatine manipulated the Force to give Anakin dreams of Padme's demise. Now, that's a deep question. That is see, this is gold. This is a great question. David, when you think about just the possibility that Palpatine might have, do you think there's some legitimacy to that?
Do I? Realistically, no, I don't think so.
Okay.
So I am very much in the camp that Snoke is Plagueis.
Okay.
And he'll be coming back in the next movie from the dead, because he's figured out how to do that. And so he developed this really great, big, complex plot where he figures out how to train Palpatine, get Palpatine to do all his dirty work with him. Well, he just chills out dead for a couple decades, then he comes back and reaps all the glory of having the galaxy under Sith control. So I'm really big in that camp. But if that's the case, I don't think that Plagueis would have taught Palpatine how to do that, because maybe that's what Plagueis would have been learning while he was dead, if that's in reality the case.
Okay.
I mean, Plagueis had his own way of doing things, and it was a lot focused on manipulation, and so he's pretty adept with a lightsaber, but I don't think that necessarily how to do this. I would also say, and if you're going to talk about this, cut me off, we know that Anakin did have some Force visions of the future. Are you going to talk about that?
I am, but
Okay. So I would say that this is just a situation where he's dreaming and he's seeing these visions with a skill that he has adapted as a Jedi, and they end up becoming self-fulfilling prophecies, because he gets so scared by it that he ends up making it happen.
Right. It's not the first time that Anakin was able to see into the future because we know he had the dreams about his mother dying. You know, there's the line in Attack of the Clones, Anakin, it was a dream. Bad? Like the ones I used to have about my mother just before she died. Probably one of the better moments of Attack of the Clones, if you're being real honest with yourself, where emotion was actually well written into that script.
They should have used acting coaches.
Right, that could have paid off, or had a someone on set to help George talk with actors. Yeah, I think you're doing what you're doing. But there is precedence that Anakin had that ability to see into the future, and I think it's more so the manipulation that Palpatine did with just his day-to-day exchanges. You know, I think of like the moments where he's in Palpatine's Senate office, and he and Anakin are walking around, and moments like that. I think that's where the manipulation is going, and all that's doing is fueling the fear and the conflict inside Anakin, and so that's what's fueling the dream. I mean, the dream definitely was the future. He definitely saw the future. He just didn't see him being the true cause of Padme's death. Because I don't subscribe to the whole lost the desire to live or lost the will to live, whatever they say. If you check out Wikipedia, they have a good breakdown of it. That's kind of the source where I did some of my research. But there is no outright explanation for this, John. So I want you to know that I'm going off of Wikipedia that is sourced with anything that's official canon right now, and there's some EU references, but what we know is that there was this precedence for precognition, that ability to see into the future, happened with his mother, and it happened with Padme, and that there is nowhere in canon where it specifically says that Palpatine reached out through the Force and forced Anakin to see Padme's death. So,
I mean, do I think Palpatine's powerful enough? Probably.
Oh, he's definitely powerful enough.
But Snoke and Palpatine have very different leadership styles. Palpatine likes to be in the middle of everything, while Snoke just sits in his throne room delegating. He's a good delegator. That's a buzzword there.
Well, he led the Empire, and the Empire did nothing wrong. Yeah. That's going to do it for Fan Comlink this week. What do you think of John's question? Do you think that Emperor had any involvement with Anakin seeing Padme's death and Revenge of the Sith? Let us know down in the comments below. Would love to know your theories, or maybe you've seen other theories out there that you'd like to make us aware of. Staying on Target is the final segment of our show, and I'm so excited that we get to bring you this version of Staying on Target. And I know Jesse was bummed about not being here this week. He'll be back next week for, I believe, next week's topic for Staying on Target will be what is the best prequel weapon?
Prequel blaster, I think.
The best prequel blaster. Okay, so we're going to have that. But this week, we're talking about the most underutilized droid in the CIS, the Separatist Army. Okay? And so the way this is work, we're going to kind of do it, somewhat fast-paced, but, we'll both announce our droids. We'll go ahead and I'll give you 2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes?
Do you want 2.5 minutes, or do you think you can do it in less?
I can do it in less.
You can do it in less?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll just see how it goes. We'll put like 90. We'll just say like as fast as you can do it. You can do your opening argument. I'll do mine.
Oh, like legit debates?
Yeah, you can counter, and then I'll counter, and then we'll say who we think won, and then you can let us know in the comments below who actually won. So I'm a gentleman, David. I let ladies go first. So
sure.
You start.
I have to say I was really, really excited for this change of format
because
I got to go through and look at all sorts of different Confederate droids. Most of them I didn't know existed because a lot of them appear in the non-canon stuff, the legends, the former canon, the comics, the books, some of the TV shows, the cartoons. And so I stopped at one, and I really was like, this is the one I want to talk about. It's the Aqua droid. And they used it at like the Battle of Mon Cala, and they used it at Camino. But then I thought to myself, well, underutilized in the films, because I would love to have seen both of those fights in the films, but that just didn't happen. So if we're going just by the films, there's really no point in having the Aqua droid as the most underutilized CIS droid, because there were no water battles that we directly saw. So that's kind of my honorable mention, but ultimately I looked at a bunch of these different things, from the Buzz droids to OOM9, is that what they call them?
Yeah.
If I'm pronouncing things right. But I settled at the Droideka.
Okay.
And I really love the Droideka.
And you call it the Droideka, because I call it the Droideka.
The Droideka?
But I think they call it Droideka. I don't know.
It's maybe it's one of those things like
I'm interrupting your opening statement. I'm sorry.
Okay, opening statement. So I choose the Droideka, the Destroyer, which is very appropriately named. I mean, you look at this thing, it's got guns. It's got a shield around it that protects itself for the most part from being destroyed. Where most of the other droids have 2 legs that they either walk or hobble upon, this thing's got 3. It's a tripod, David. Gives it a little extra oomph as it's blasting things and stability.
Really
with what's
straddles
going
its
on.
opponents. Jeez.
And why I'm saying these were underutilized, because you look at the movie, you look at the extended universe, and you read the Wikipedia page, and they were primarily used as guards. They're primarily used as executioners, and the only time they really saw battle is when, like, one of the generals, such as Grievous, would have them by his side because they would scare the Jedi. I mean, these things were Jedi frighteners.
Well, think back. I don't want to support your case, but I mean, I think of the Phantom Menace scene where, I mean, they give Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan a run for their money. So
Yes,
I totally
absolutely.
agree with your pick. I think this is genius.
So, I mean, I don't just pick it because it's probably my favorite one, but because if Wikipedia, they're used as guards, executioners, and just to scare Jedi, but they say that the reason why they weren't more widespread is because they cost more. But, you know, I'd rather take a droideka over 15 of the just standard fighters anyway.
All right, so David, in his opening statement, says the droideka is his droid that he believes is the most underutilized in this Separatist army. I want to go with the BX series Droid Commando. David, I'm kind of embarrassed. I'm kind of frustrated with you that you didn't even explore the Clone Wars or the Rebels. Well, not the Rebels, the Clone Wars, obviously.
I looked
that is
into
6 seasons worth of great Separatist army and evolution, and not all droids in the Separatist army were incompetent, and the BX series Droid Commando is the antithesis of the potential that the Separatist army had. It was a droid in the CIS army that was proof that there was a larger plan in place, because had there always been from the beginning the desire for the Separatists to win, I firmly believe that they would have just built a massive army of these droids. These droids used a variety of weapons in battle, for example. So they used the E5 blaster, which was common with most of the battle droids. They also could fight with, is it melee weapons? Melee? Melee combat. They would fight with the vibro swords that we know the Magna Guards would use, that you saw in Return of the Revenge of the Sith. They are on the flight deck with Grievous, okay? His guards. They are known to use thermal detonators. They use blast rifles. They have the ability to snipe. They've been known to use missile launchers. I think of what they did in the Clone Wars, the Battle of Dathomir. You know, you see one use a missile launcher. So these are droids that, I mean, I don't know if they're AI. I don't know if they have that ability, but they definitely have this ability. Their programming allows them to think as near human-like more than any other droid we have seen as a, maybe C-3PO. I mean, C-3PO is the most human droid I think we see in the Star Wars galaxy. But if you're talking about a thinker, an adapter, this is what the BX series Droid Commando does for the CIS. It's an adapter in the field, can take on Jedi. More than 20 appearances in the Clone Wars. You see this droid all throughout the comics, and it's dastardly. It is absolutely dastardly. And what's interesting is, I think back to the Rookies episode, Season 1 of the Clone Wars. They had this ability to do espionage as well. I mean, they kill these clone troopers on the platform. They're able to use one of the troopers' helmets. They don the armor, and they're able to break in and infiltrate the clone armory. I think the outpost protecting Kamino, which also speaks to maybe the how gullible the first wave of clone troopers were. I mean, to see a bobbling head there, I mean, they thought something was up, but, I digress. The point is, these droids are resourceful. And, if you want to go ahead and criticize these droids for anything, are they expensive? I mean, my gosh, did you hear all the things that they can do that I just rattled off? That sounds like a pretty penny to have to spend to make those droids happen. But clearly, to me, if the CIS was destined to win, I think those droids would have been utilized more than just security and infiltration. I think they would have been invaluable on the battlefield. But, they were just there, I think, to keep the battle going, because obviously at the end of it, the Emperor wanted Vader and the clones. So that's my opening statement.
So now I get to tell you why you're wrong?
Yeah, tell me why I'm wrong.
So, underutilized was the prompt we were going for, and your BX series are pretty awesome. I think they're pretty badass because they do have those critical thinking skills, so I'll give you points where points are due. They do have flamethrowers, which I'm always a fan of. But underutilized, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, you look at their Wikipedia pages. I'm sitting here trying to destroy your argument, and they were used at the Battle of Rishimun and Ryloth and Saliukami and the Citadel.
Salukami?
Yeah, that one.
Listen, if you're going to attack my stance on something, how about you pronounce the damn
Naboo
battles right?
And Dathomir and Onderon. So they were all over the place. Maybe not widespread, but they were all over the place. That's my target on you. And yeah, let's take that. Not widespread, not underutilized.
I will definitely say that they're not. You don't know about them if you're just going by the movies, which the lay fan probably only knows the droids from the movies.
Can we show the pictures of our
We have been.
Upscreen? Oh, we have.
Thanks for
Okay.
paying attention.
Well, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
We don't have like the green screen in front of us.
Yeah, we don't
as
have a
we're filming.
monitor kind of depicting.
Because when you look at them, if you have watched any of the extended universe stuff, you will recognize them. I mean, when I first
Now be
watched
careful
it,
though. Extended universe is not canon. Remember.
not extended universe. So
extended universe.
extended universe.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, not
Expand.
the legends.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
All right. There we go. Just want to make
So,
sure we're saying the right
I mean,
thing.
you'll look at these guys and you'll recognize them from the cartoons, the comics. So they're pretty cool. I still maintain that the droideka is more underutilized because they could scare the pants off of a Jedi, and they had several kills on Jedi.
Yeah, but then I think about like season 5 when they're on Onderon, and you have Ahsoka Tano there who is training the rebels there, including Saw Gerrera that you see in Rogue One, and they show just how simple it is to ultimately destroy the droidekas, that they have learned the ways to take them out, which is just rolling a thermal detonator underneath the shield, which is that's corny.
Yeah, roll a thermal detonator under one of your BX series, and it'll explode too.
But not necessarily because of its flexibility. I mean, this droid can jump around like a ninja. It's like Bruce Lee with a thermal detonator, a rocket launcher, a blaster. That's what I'm saying. It's so good. Why was this not more? Because they didn't have the idea until the Clone Wars series. I could go on and on and on. I think that I'm right. I think that you're right. We don't have anyone here to make a tiebreaker, so let's leave it up to you. You watching right now, who had the better argument? Okay, let us know so that way the next episode, at the very top of the episode, he and I can just start laughing at David, telling him how wrong he was about his droid.
I would say that at the beginning of the next episode, you should present me with my trophy for having the better droid that's underutilized in the Star Wars universe.
BX series Droid Commando or the Droideka or Droideka. Either way, those are the two droids. Let us know who had the better argument down in the comments below. That's going to do it for episode 35. And what a great way to end the episode. I like this. I'm excited.
Do this more often?
It's going to happen every episode now.
Excellent.
And I'm already looking forward to the next episode. So before we go, I want to remind you, of course, you can always find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You watch our show here on YouTube. You can find us on BeyondTheBlastDoors.com. If you like our show, and you believe in what we're doing, and you want to see us continue to grow this show, I'm going to ask you to please consider supporting the show on Patreon.com. There you can learn about what we're trying to do with our show, expand it, and how you can back that effort. We have 4 patrons right now. We are so thankful for them. My dad, we have Sheev Palpy, we have John Boffman, and White Nova just became our most recent Patreon supporter. So thank you so much. We really appreciate that generosity as I bump my microphone. And if we're talking about generosity, if we're talking about support, we also have to thank the Maplewood Fantasy Shop, because every week they're helping us make our weekly giveaways possible. Dave is over there. You have a great crew over there. You have Lee. You have Dylan. The guys are just awesome, guys and gals. And so thank you again for our contest. Be sure you comment below #That'sNoMoon, because they're literally giving us a week's worth of comics to give away every week. And they even said we would throw in maybe some variant covers. We have some pop figures we'll dump in there. Keep in mind, our YouTube channel are about to hit 600 subscribers.
Awesome.
Yeah. Let's hit 600 by the end of April, and maybe we do a bonus giveaway. Fair enough?
I'm down.
I think we have some goodies on set that we can give away. That's going to do it for episode 35. Thank you so much for joining us. Do us a favor. Make sure you comment below, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, tell your friends about it. We'll see you soon. May the Force be with you. If you haven't already, go ahead and smash that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. You can watch other videos just like this one right now by checking out these videos on your screen. And by the way, thanks for checking out Beyond the Blast Doors.